Cultures are born and die. All processes of manifestation, cosmic, solar, systemic, planetary, morph in cycles of different lengths with periods of activity and passivity. The same is true of all phenomena of life and thus also of cultures, which are characterized by upward and downward movements. Even our historians are so disoriented that they have not been able to discover this periodicity. From history we could learn at least so much that we understood that mankind has a long way to go before it has a prospect of reaching the stage of true culture, not to say the stage of true humanity. No one possessed of a normal measure of common sense could fail to see that the current age evinces a marked decline, a destruction of culture many hundreds of years old. In astronomical respect, this age coincides with the transition from the Piscean to the Aquarian zodiacal period. Mankind lives in intellectual, cultural, social chaos. In fact, we live in a critical epoch, the most critical since those times when the planetary hierarchy preferred to go underground. Clans at the stage of barbarism have been allowed to incarnate, to pull down that culture which is unfit to live and is being removed to make place for a radically new order in political, social and economic respects. Each zodiacal epoch of 20,500 years also implies an epoch of a new culture. During this time, mankind has the opportunity of knowing some of the ideas on which culture is based. By their ability to perceive and assimilate those ideas, the different cultures demonstrate mankind's general stage of development. Each form of culture has its allotted task in the consciousness development of mankind. When this task is fulfilled, the old form dies and is replaced with a new form. What is true of the individual is true of culture too. The monad develops through constantly new envelopes of incarnation. If this were not renewed, the individual's consciousness development would come to a standstill. If a form of culture were crystallized so as to be unchanging, also mankind would remain at the stage of development. It is not the fault of life that the individual contracts disease and a premature death through her wrong manner of living. No more than it is the fault of life that cultures are annihilated by mankind itself in a way that is unnecessarily cruel and filled with suffering. If human beings lived in accord with the laws of nature and laws of life, the process of reincarnation of both individuals and cultures would take place in a natural and peaceful manner. But mankind refuses to consider that knowledge of reality, and life offered to it by the planetary hierarchy. Let mankind complain about itself for its own lack of understanding, but let it not accuse life for it. The planetary hierarchy builds and preserves culture. The planetary hierarchy once worked among men but was banished. Ever since then, the hierarchy has been reduced to using human beings as instruments. These have generally been tortured, stoned, crucified, and put to death in many other ways, all of which is reported in esoteric history. Such was the result in a mankind that was and is at the stages of barbarism and civilization. Those who had reached at least the stage of culture could be saved from persecution by being initiated into sacred knowledge orders. However, these orders could act only by setting examples, a recourse that does not seem to have the effect commonly believed. Development progressed only as humanism made its breakthrough in the 19th century. The humanist intellectual revolution in the 19th century was made possible through works written by initiates of the sacred knowledge order of the Rosicrucians, and in particular through the contribution made by Saint Germain. He found that time was up for a more efficient propaganda. The purpose of the many new orders that were formed on his initiative, however, was rather to enable the members to liberate their thinking from theological dogmatism. They took knowledge for the light incarnations of all the initiates was taught in the Rosicrucian order only. In ancient times, the technology orders were the only means of preserving culture, or that culture which we notice in the ancient derived from initiates. In our times, when democracy has taken out a pattern for culture, we see individuals being quickly replaced with non-culture, so that the level of our culture is being lowered towards the bottom. In these times of transition from a civilization which has shown its inability to reach higher and so is crumbling away, to a new culture based on aesthetics, we experience the same chaos in respect of culture as characterizes such transitions generally. It remains to be seen whether the future culture will evince features that will prove to be the work of that portion of the 60 billion human monads who have come of age, so demonstrated that those monads consider it worthwhile incarnating to continue their interrupted consciousness development. At all events, the planetary hierarchy cherishes certain hopes that this will be possible. After the Second World War, clans who are at the higher stages have decided to sacrifice themselves for the good cause and to incarnate. We must hope that their contribution will not be made in vain, such as it largely was hitherto in the long history of mankind. Hindrances to development must be destroyed. The fact that ignorance of life and disorientation in reality are almost total is seen in the acceptance of that way of life, not the only one, which the Black Logic has managed to get smuggled into the Gospels and be attributed to Jesus. Resist not evil. A motto that has paralyzed the ability to act and left the field open to spiritual wickedness in high places, to suppress all good efforts everywhere. Referring to the false motto, sentimentality hostility to life has opined that we should not criticize, that we should avoid everything negative. Those holding such views do not realize that we must demonstrate errors in accepting views to those who cannot see what is wrong or do not want to see or do not care to examine it. Pointing out what is wrong is as important as holding up what is right. We learn more from our mistakes than from our successes. That too is truth not generally recognized hitherto. We should not alienate those who could perhaps be won over with mildness, they say. To this it should only be said that those who take offense at hard sayings and energetic action in any event are quite unable to understand the head of the matter. Those to whom the worm is the essential thing do not grasp its content. A truth teller is always pioneer as well. That much should be realized by those who are in a position to perceive what matter at stake is, trying to persuade those who can only become believers to accept it because it pleases them may be a task for other people, but it is not among the duties of the tradition. Believers always believe wrong, even if they accept the truth, for as long as they believe they neither comprehend nor understand, and then everything will be misapprehended anyhow. The energies of the first department have a twofold purpose: to pull things down and to build things up. Also Shiva of the Hindus has been presented as the destroyer, the destroyer of what served evolution once, but has now become a hindrance to full evolution. Of course they have conceived of Shiva as wreaking havoc in the physical matter aspect. Wrong as usual. Shiva dissolves illusions of fiction. Truth is the story of emotional and mental forms. That is all what is needed. When consciousness has left its envelope, that form dissolves automatically. When the content of reality, presumed or factual, disappears, then the hypothesis, theory, theology is of no interest, only as curiosity. Certainly, they are collectors of such things, but they collect anything except what has a life value, what is important to consciousness development. What people call value is the price someone will pay to possess something. When nobody wants to give anything for it, it has no value, and such intrinsically worthless things are hunted by people as though they were valuables. When will that illusion lose its power?